Hello everyone, welcome back to the fabrication shop. Today we're going to be looking at creating the decals for our Scrambler tribute rocket. Now if you're new to the channel, we want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so that you can be notified when we drop our next video. In this episode we're going to be looking at how we created the decals for our Scrambler rocket. Now if you don't have the time or not interested in making your own decals, you can order new decal sheets for the Scrambler from places like stickershock23.com. See the link in the description below. But for those of you who want to make your own decals, let's get started. Our first step was to find a scan of an original decal sheet. Once again, the JimZ's website had what we needed, and we'll put the link in the description below. However, there are some issues with this decal scan. The first thing that you'll notice is the obvious yellow coloring of the sheet. That will need to be corrected. The second thing you'll notice is there's no size reference. There's no ruler alongside the decal sheet, so we really don't know how big this sheet should be. This is not as important for most of the decals on this sheet, but for things like roll patterns, it can become very important. So we're going to have to do some sizing to make sure we have the right size decals. Another thing you'll see is if you look at the egg and the Scrambler name decal, you'll see that some of the yellow coloring is outside of the frames. So this is another area that we're going to have to clean up. The last thing that you may notice is that the scan itself is not square. So that's another issue that we're going to need to correct. Obviously, we've got some work to do. To perform the initial cleanup of this decal sheet, I'm going to use a free and open source graphics program called Pinta, and we'll have the link below. We're going to import the decal sheet into Pinta and then save it under a new name. By saving it under a new name, you keep your original untouched should something go wrong. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the yellow tint. Select the paint bucket option and then set the tolerance level to 36. Now this is a number you may need to adjust depending on the graphic. Different graphics and different graphic programs will react differently. So this is a number you will need to play around with. Apply the paint bucket to the entire sheet, and you can see that this one thing alone makes a huge difference. If you wanted to, you could stop right here and print out the decal sheet as is. However, I planned on making my decals look sharp, maybe even better than the originals. So let's continue on with the process. For the rest of the decal cleanup, I'm only going to be using 3 decals. The first is the large grade A egg. The second is the Astron Scrambler name tag that's located under the egg. And then I'm going to be using the black and yellow roll pattern. And I'm going to save each of these as a separate file. If we look at the scan of the roll pattern, we'll see that it's rough and it's not straight. To get the roll pattern straight, I'm going to use a different free and open source graphics program called Krita. And yes, like the others, the link is going to be below. Now, Krita has an option to rotate the graphic any number of degrees you specify. After a number of tries, we found that rotating it at 359.75 degrees gets us very, very close to being perfectly straight. Once we do that, we save the file. I'm going to start the cleanup with the top black stripe. I'm going to create a layer, and in that layer I'm going to draw a black filled rectangle that fits over top of the existing black stripe. I'm going to extend it slightly so it goes beyond the ragged edges that you see in the decal scan. Once I have it drawn, I'm going to save my work. Now I'm going to go back to the decal base layer, that'll be the bottom layer, and using the eyedropper, I'm going to pull out the yellow color. Then I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to create the yellow stripe just like we did the black stripe. and then I'm going to save my work. Moving on to the roll pattern gets a little bit more involved, but using layers is going to make this easier. Start by creating a new layer and using the same yellow color as the stripe we just drew, create a yellow box to match that on the roll pattern. Once we create one box, we'll copy it and paste it 3 additional times, resulting in 4 yellow boxes. And we're going to save our work. Now I'm going to create another layer. And this time I'm going to change the rectangle tool back to black. And I'm going to begin by creating the large black stripe at the top of the roll pattern. Now this is going to go over the yellow boxes we just created, and we'll fix this in a minute. But finish out by drawing the 4 vertical boxes of the roll pattern. Go over to the list of layers and pull that top layer down, which contains the black rectangles and vertical boxes, and pull it below the yellow box layer. This puts the yellow boxes back on top. This is one of the advantages of working with layers, and we're going to save our work. The final step is to create the yellow and black circles at the bottom of the roll pattern. Start by, yeah, you guessed it, creating a new layer. Using the same yellow as before, use the circle tool to create a single yellow circle, and then like we did with the yellow boxes, copy it and paste it 3 additional times to create a total of 4 yellow circles. Next, create a new layer and change the circle color to black. Now create a black circle, copy it, paste it 3 additional times. And just like we did with the yellow boxes, move this layer down 1 so that the yellow circles come out on top of the black circles. Save your work. At this point, I tend to either hide or delete the bottom layer that contains the original graphic. This leaves just my recreated graphic, which tends to look a lot sharper. Save your work and then export this as a PNG file. The final part of this is going to be cleaning up the 2 graphics of the grade A egg and the Astron Scrambler name tag. These are both time consuming to clean up. It took several hours to do the original ones. You're going to need to use the pencil and paintbrush tools to clean up errant pixels and to smooth out edges. You're also going to need to add color where it should be and erase color where it shouldn't be. We use some layers here as well. However, there are no straight lines that are easily recreated in these graphics. So this concludes this episode on decal making. In our next episode, we'll look at how we take these completed graphics and make them into a decal sheet, and making sure the decals are sized to fit the rocket properly. We hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you like what we're doing here, please click on the like and subscribe buttons. If you hit the bell, you'll be notified when we drop our next video. So until next time, wishing you all the best and take care.